Get 3 coffins ready.
Huh?
Clint Eastwood's name has become synonymous with cinematic legend, maintaining an iconic status within the realm of Hollywood for numerous years. Having marked his 93rd birthday in May 2023, he proudly claims a distinguished track record both as an actor and a director, with a career extending from the 1950s to today. From his initial roles as an actor to his later recognition as an Academy Award-winning director, Eastwood's contributions have been both groundbreaking and well-received. His extensive and impressive filmography is undeniable. The famed actor has navigated various challenges in Hollywood, quickly establishing himself as a memorable figure. Who is Clint Eastwood, and what is his enduring impact? Let's explore the life of Clint Eastwood, who at 93 reveals what many have long suspected. Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and director. The illustrious actor entered the world on May 31, 1930, at St. Francis Memorial Hospital in San Francisco, born to Ruth and Clinton Eastwood Sr. During her son's celebrity, Ruth was known by the surname of her second spouse, John Belden Wood, whom she wed following Clinton Sr.'s death. At birth, Eastwood was affectionately called Samson by the hospital staff due to his hefty birth weight of 11 pounds 6 ounces. He has one sibling, a younger sister named Jane Bernhardt. His heritage includes English, Irish, Scottish, and Dutch ancestry. He is a descendant of Mayflower passenger William Bradford, making him a 12th-generation North American. As his father switched jobs, his family moved 3 times in the 1930s. However, contrary to what Eastwood has stated in interviews, they remained stationary between 1940 and 1949. They settled in Piedmont, California, in a prosperous part of the town, enjoying a swimming pool, a country club membership, and cars for each parent. Eastwood's father was a manufacturing executive at Georgia Pacific throughout most of his career. As Clint and Jean matured, Ruth secured a clerical position at IBM. Eastwood was a student at Piedmont Middle School, where he repeated a grade due to low academic performance, and records show he also attended summer school. From January 1945 to at least January 1946, he was a student at Piedmont High School, but was expelled for inscribing an indecent proposal to a school official on the athletic field scoreboard and for burning an effigy on the school grounds, among other disciplinary issues. He moved to Oakland Technical High School with plans to graduate in January 1949, though his completion is uncertain. Biographer Patrick McGilligan notes that high school graduation records are highly confidential. According to McGilligan, Eastwood's school principal needed approval from his management before deciding on an interview, and someone at Malpaso advised him not to speak to me, and he didn't. The iconic actor's life has been a whirlwind of events and fluctuating fortunes, yet he remains an inspirational figure to many. But what made him so influential? Notable military service. The renowned and acclaimed actor wasn't merely a screen presence. Before his acting career, he served in the military. In 1951, during the Korean War, Eastwood was drafted into the Army. He served as a swimming instructor at Fort Ord, California. He survived a near-fatal incident when the Navy AD-1Q torpedo bomber he was aboard encountered engine failure and crashed off the California coast near Point Reyes, close to San Francisco. He and the pilot swam 2 miles to shore through the cold waters. This real-life experience prefigured his role as Frank Morris in the 1979 movie Escape from Alcatraz, in which he and 2 others escaped from Alcatraz Island, swimming through the cold San Francisco Bay. Eastwood was honorably discharged from the Army in 1953. Turbulent road to fame. Clint Eastwood's path to fame was anything but straightforward, as he encountered numerous obstacles while pursuing a career in show business. Initially, after his military service, he took up a job as a lifeguard on the beach. Driven by ambition, the young man ventured into the big city and enrolled in college in Los Angeles at the department. Concurrently, he worked part-time to support himself. During the day, he managed a house in Beverly Hills, where he rented an apartment, and at night, he worked at a gas station. Encouraged by his military friends, Clint began to explore acting. Reflecting on that decision later, he mentioned being swayed by the fact that many actresses were exceptionally beautiful. Parallel to his studies, Clint attended various auditions, participated in amateur theater productions, tried his hand at scriptwriting, and persistently approached film companies hoping to secure a contract. Soon, he encountered cinematographer Irvin Glassberg from Universal Studios. Glassberg arranged for the young man to meet with director Arthur Lubin at the gas station. Eastwood's striking appearance and tall stature helped him during screen tests, leading to a contract with the studio despite his limited acting experience. However, Lubin wasn't particularly impressed by their initial interaction. According to Lubin, Eastwood seemed amateurish, unsure of his movements and actions. Thus, the primary condition of his contract was to take acting classes. Clint was also offered a modest salary of $100 a week, although some reports suggest it was only $75. But that was sufficient for him to move to a new apartment closer to the studio, where he made several industry connections. Eastwood's first encounter with other studio staff was also less than ideal. He was required to perform a monologue from the 1936 film Petrified Forest, and, in one of the scenes, to appear nude before the audience. One studio employee recalled that he resembled a typical country boy, thin, rustic, with a pronounced Adam's apple, and reserved. His appearance was problematic for casting directors. He was too attractive for character roles, but not quite the romantic hero needed for female-led films. At the studio, men like Clint were typically used to fill space on screen. When he reviewed his audition tape, he realized he did not appear impressive. A poor reputation in the studio and a lack of experience hindered Eastwood's progress. He secured only minor roles in low-budget films with meager pay. Among these were Revenge of the Creature, Francis in the Navy, and Tarantula in 1955 and Away All Boats in 1956. His roles were so insignificant that the characters barely spoke. For instance, in Revenge of the Creature, Clint played an unnamed lab assistant who fortuitously finds a missing rat. In Tarantula, he portrayed an Air Force pilot tasked with eliminating a giant insect. In the 1956 drama Never Say Goodbye, he had only half a minute of screen time. Despite the setbacks in his career, Eastwood participated in 8 projects within just 2 years. Even then, his strengths began to show. A keen sense of humor and a remarkable ability to captivate women, traits he would later capitalize on in his career. However, at this stage, Clint was unable to translate those qualities into his characters. Eastwood sought help from a speech therapist to address a peculiarity. He spoke in a whistling whisper. Despite efforts, the issue was not resolved, but it eventually became a distinctive feature of his acting style. Additionally, Clint took acting classes from Jack Coslin and Jess Kimmel. These efforts eventually paid off. He began to receive offers for leading roles in films. His attractive and imposing presence made him a sought-after figure in the cinema world, particularly as the heroic figure in westerns. Among his roles was Keith Williams in the 1958 film Ambush at Cimarron Pass, an adventure story about a group of soldiers and cowboys trying to survive after Indian attacks. Clint was deeply dissatisfied with the outcome. In a 1978 interview, he expressed his disappointment, saying, "It was so bad, I just kept sinking lower and lower in my seat, considering the film to be one of the worst westerns." In the subsequent movie, The First Traveling Saleslady, he co-starred with Carol Channing and hoped for success, but it flopped at the box office. He had only a minor role in the 1958 film Lafayette Escadrille. Later, Clint remarked, "They were making a lot of cheap stuff, that is, B-movies. I always played some young lieutenant or lab assistant." He received so few offers for lead roles that he began to despair of a promising future. His time with the studio was also short-lived. Universal terminated his contract after a year and a half. The film studio executives argued that Clint had an incorrect appearance. They particularly disliked his teeth and Adam's apple. Eastwood was unprepared for this, but there was little he could do. Thus, he continued to audition, work out in the gym, and refine his acting skills. When Eastwood finally landed his long-awaited lead role, it was in a low-quality Western so poor that Eastwood contemplated quitting. To make ends meet, the young man undertook menial jobs. He dug swimming pool pits and worked as a janitor in a furniture factory. A fortunate encounter saved him. Clint met one of the directors of the Rawhide series while visiting a friend at the CBS television studio. The director was searching for a suitable young man for the supporting role of cowboy Rowdy Yates. Rowdy defined Eastwood's roles for the next several years. The character, handsome and principled, was not particularly interesting to Clint. However, the television network executives saw potential in him from the very beginning. Clint brought a new dynamic to the show. Strong, handsome, rugged, and skilled in shooting and fighting, he quickly attracted a young audience to the series. Years later, Eastwood fondly recalled that period. He starred in the series from the first episode to the last. By the end of the first season, his $600 salary had doubled, and by the end of the series, it had reached 6 figures. The series was not highly popular, but played a vital role in Eastwood's life. It was here that he first became interested in directing and began to learn about the film industry from the inside. The young Eastwood was invited to direct one of the episodes, which, unfortunately, was never realized. The contract with CBS meant he could not participate in any external projects. It wasn't until 1953 that the network slightly relaxed its restrictions after season 4 of the series began to decline. To promote him, the bosses decided to use their lead star, Clint, elsewhere. The company asked the actor to guest star in an episode of the popular sitcom Mr. Ed, where he played himself. He agreed on the condition that he would not wear cowboy attire. However, this was not the exposure Eastwood had hoped for. The episode with the talking horse was as peculiar as the rest of the show, but he stoically accepted the arrangement and quietly took the money. The real breakthrough for Eastwood was yet to come, and again, it would be linked to cowboy films in cinema. His work in the following decades would create a unique image of a taciturn hero of westerns and action films. Italian director Sergio Leone spotted the actor in Rawhide. He invited Eastwood to his new project, A Fistful of Dollars, inspired by Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo and marking the start of the famous Dollar Trilogy. Leone was searching for a distinctive leading man and was impressed by Eastwood. His co-stars would be Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef. Eastwood, tired of the goody two-shoes role from Rawhide, accepted Leone's offer, even though it meant shooting in Italy and Spain while continuing to work on the series. Many years later, Leone remarked that he chose Eastwood for the lead role in his films primarily because the actor had 2 suitable expressions, with a hat and without a hat. Leone was captivated by the actor's slow, deliberate movements. During filming, Eastwood wore the same poncho, insisting that no one wash it throughout the entire trilogy's production, as it had become a sort of talisman for him. The first film, A Fistful of Dollars, released in 1964, was a massive success despite allegations of plagiarism in Asian countries. With a budget of $200,000, it grossed $14 million and spawned a subgenre, the spaghetti western. During this period, Eastwood became an overnight sensation. It's not surprising that 2 sequels followed shortly thereafter, For a Few Dollars More in 1965 and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966. All 3 films featured the enigmatic protagonist, silent, clad in a poncho, wearing cowboy boots, a cigarillo in his mouth, and of ambiguous morality. The main theme of the film is considered one of the most recognizable melodies in cinema history. This experience was pivotal in Eastwood's career. The film's similarity to the original source was so exact that Leone later faced a lawsuit. Indeed, the precision in detail was remarkable. The image of a solitary warrior, a similar editing rhythm, and the structure of the action. So battles began with a long, tense anticipation as the camera focused on every movement and glance of the opponents. Interestingly, Kurosawa won the lawsuit, receiving $100,000 and 15% of the box office. But it was worth it. Sergio Leone and Clint Eastwood revolutionized the Western genre, which by the early 60s had nearly vanished. They crafted a classic Puritan hero, wearing a hat and mounted on a horse, embodying a complex mix of unequivocally positive traits and well-established clichés. Throughout the trilogy, other characters gave Eastwood's character various names. Thus, he became known as the man with no name in the film. In 2008, Empire magazine ranked him as the 43rd greatest cinematic character of all time. Concurrently, his personal life was equally dynamic. A tall and robust Eastwood consistently drew the attention of numerous women, and he did not shy away from seizing these opportunities. In the media, his name was frequently accompanied by the label womanizer. From another angle, Clint Eastwood has earned a notorious reputation for his involvement in multiple relationships throughout his life, which has sparked considerable interest and scrutiny. His romantic history has been characterized by several notable affairs and fathering children with different women. Controversies surrounding the filmmaker. The iconic actor was only 23 when he first married, tying the knot with Maggie Jones in 1953. When Eastwood later achieved fame and wealth in Hollywood, reports suggest that he was far from a faithful husband. In fact, Eastwood admitted to a biographer that he was still seeing other women while he and his future wife were dating. Before marrying his first wife, Maggie Johnson, he was already involved with another woman. According to Patrick McGilligan, Eastwood's biographer, the actor-director, was involved with an unnamed young woman after he left for Seattle. She became pregnant, but their child, a girl, was given up for adoption. It wasn't until 2018, during the premiere of Eastwood's film The Mule, that their daughter was publicly identified. Lori Murray, born February 11, 1954, was adopted by Clyde and Helen Warren of Seattle. According to her son, Lowell Thomas Murray Thafor, his biological grandmother never informed Eastwood of her pregnancy and never contacted him after the affair. Lori was taken aback when she began researching her biological parents and discovered that Eastwood was her father. But if you think the unnamed young woman was Eastwood's only affair during his marriage to Johnson, you are gravely mistaken. In 1959, during the second season of Rawhide, Eastwood began a long-term affair with stuntwoman and actress Roxanne Tunis, who was then married but separated. The couple had a daughter, Kimber, in 1964, but her existence wasn't revealed to either Eastwood or the public until July 1989, when the National Enquirer disclosed her identity. This affair generated considerable buzz, with Eastwood's colleagues reportedly aware of the baby. Actress Barbara Eden, who made a guest appearance on Rawhide, also remarked that Eastwood and Johnson seemed to have an open marriage, echoing the actor's 1971 interview with reporter Tim Chadwick, in which he stated they did not believe in exclusivity. When his relationship with Tunis eventually ended, and while still married to Johnson, during the production of The Outlaw Josie Wales in Page, Arizona, Eastwood began cohabiting with actress Sondra Locke. At the time, both were technically still married but had no real relationship with their spouses. Eastwood was reported to have commented that there was nothing left between him and Johnson. On the other hand, Locke was married to her openly gay best friend Gordon Anderson in what was essentially a marriage of convenience that was never consummated. Their lives meshed like two oddly fitting puzzle pieces. Eastwood confided in Locke about his surprising need for her despite his history of infidelity. He even whimsically composed a song about it, which he titled "She Made Me Monogamous." This relationship was unlike any of his previous ones, even his reported 14-year-long relationship with Tunis. The couple did not have children, but they aborted twice, and Locke underwent tubal ligation in the late 1970s. Yet even while they lived together, Eastwood discreetly maintained several other relationships. Unsurprisingly, their relationship gradually deteriorated after Eastwood finally divorced Johnson, but Locke remained married to Anderson. According to Locke, she would have been willing to divorce Anderson if Eastwood had agreed to couples therapy with her, but he declined. They had a contentious breakup in 1989 when Locke sued Eastwood for palimony after he allegedly changed the locks of their home and removed all of her belongings. They reached a settlement, but she evidently felt it was insufficient as she filed another lawsuit in 1995 for fraud, which they also settled out of court. That's not all. The legendary actor had a highly private affair with Jocelyn Reeves, a flight attendant, while he was still living with Sandra Locke. He fathered 2 children with her, a son named Scott in 1986 and a daughter named Catherine in 1988. Their affair was only revealed in 1990 when an article about it was published in the Star tabloid. There was also the actress Frances Fisher, whom Eastwood first met on the set of Pink Cadillac in 1988. The two had a non-exclusive intermittent affair for 2 years before they went public. The couple had a daughter, Francesca, born in 1993. They ended their relationship in 1995 due to issues on Eastwood's part. Apparently, his controversies weren't limited to his romantic involvements. Clint Eastwood also faced significant controversy in the realm of politics when he directed the film American Sniper. The movie attracted intense scrutiny and criticism from some viewers who believed it aimed to glorify war. The backlash around the film was quite severe, igniting fervent debates. In response to the criticisms, the director made concerted efforts to defend his film in various interviews, though his explanations did little to pacify his detractors. He emphasized that the film was unrelated to any political party or agenda and aimed to depict the experiences of professional soldiers, naval personnel, and others who serve for specific reasons. Fundamentally, Eastwood sought to convey the realities faced by those who make the tough decision to go to war. One of the main points of contention was the portrayal of the sharpshooter, Chris Kyle, the central figure in American Sniper, and portrayed by Bradley Cooper. Kyle had expressed extremist views, referring to the enemy as savages and despicably evil. This led some audiences to believe that the film endorsed Kyle's views. Unfazed by the criticisms, Eastwood contended that the film's vision was simply misunderstood by the public. He asserted his opposition to war and his disapproval of violence. He stressed the importance of careful deliberation when dealing with matters of war and conflict, emphasizing that self-protection is essential for nations. However, he made it clear that he did not enjoy seeing war and violence. Despite the controversy and varying interpretations of the films, it was clear that Eastwood intended to highlight the complexities and sacrifices involved in military service rather than promote any particular political or ideological stance. Eastwood has faced criticisms. Eastwood encountered significant criticism from thousands of fans online who believed he had officially endorsed then U.S. President Donald Trump. While he had made positive remarks about Trump in the past, he had not given an official endorsement. This led to confusion and public debate regarding his political stance. Things escalated to the point where, in 2019, Eastwood became the subject of a viral meme falsely quoting him as endorsing Trump with the statement, "I am endorsing Mr. Trump for president." However, Eastwood never made such a statement. In 2016, he expressed a preference for Trump over Hillary Clinton, but ultimately chose not to endorse any candidate. In 2020, Eastwood shifted his support to Democratic hopeful Michael Bloomberg, stating the best thing we could do was just get Mike Bloomberg in there. He also acknowledged supporting some of Trump's actions, but disapproving of his behavior, especially online. Clint Eastwood's foray into politics and his shifting opinions have made him a subject of public scrutiny, with his words and sentiments often being misconstrued and misrepresented in various contexts. In Patrick McGilligan's book, Clint: The Life and Legend, the author presented a less than flattering portrayal of Clint Eastwood. The iconic actor and filmmaker, according to McGilligan, was depicted as someone who had an insatiable desire for control and was willing to take extreme measures to maintain that control. One prominent aspect of this portrayal was Eastwood's reputation for being a figure who would terminate contracts with employees if he believed they were undermining his authority. This image of Eastwood as a controlling and domineering figure was reinforced by statements attributed to individuals who had worked with him. One ex-producer, for example, was quoted as saying if they ever called a meeting of all the people that Clint has screwed over, they'd have to hold it in the Los Angeles Coliseum. This statement suggests that there were numerous instances where Eastwood's actions or decisions had negatively impacted those around him. However, it's important to note that Eastwood himself vehemently disagreed with this assessment. In an interview with CBS News, when asked whether he sought to be in control all the time, he refuted the idea. He explained that he did not pursue total control because he genuinely appreciated the participation of everyone involved in his projects. He cited his involvement as a producer and director in the film $1 Million Baby and his contribution to the film score as examples of his collaborative approach. Clint Eastwood has lived large as a successful actor and entrepreneur. So, in spite of the tumultuous beginnings, the iconic actor stayed through and achieved success both on and off the big screen. Thanks for watching. Check out another fascinating video by clicking on the link appearing on your screen right now. See you on the other side.